Good evening, everyone, and welcome to On the Rise. Still a little daylight out here, just cutting into the evening here, David.
Yeah.
Man, it's been a while. I haven't seen you, they haven't seen us. It's been, what, 3 weeks?
Yeah, where you been hiding?
I don't know, man. It's just been, running around doing my thing. How about you?
Same here, just same old. Enjoying all these fights, excited about these fights coming up.
There's a lot going on, a lot coming up. Obviously, we got a RIZE card on May 15th.
Yeah.
It's coming around the corner already, so that's why we're back. We want to discuss a little bit that with you guys tonight. We got a few fighters to talk about, a few fights to talk about. Just a side note here, we were all going through all this crazy COVID nonsense, and that's obviously why we had some scheduling issues, health issues, all that. It's all good now. We're all better. We're getting back into the groove of things, and now we're ready to go back and get the show going once a week. Hopefully we can keep that continuing on between now and fight night.
Exactly.
So once again, Mike Feinberg, David Shore, we got Armando Gonzalez and Gerardo Ramos here in the background. The team is back.
Yeah.
Back together again. So, we're going to jump right into it, guys. First and foremost, May 15th, if you haven't yet heard about that on our promos, we have a fight location, and the date is now definitely set for May 15th at Extreme Action Park in Fort Lauderdale, right off Powerline Road, right on the border of Powerline and Fort Lauderdale, so the north end of Fort Lauderdale. Will be May 15th. We'll let you know about the exact time that we're going to be doing doors open and first fight. Probably somewhere around 6:30 is what our best guess is. We always seem to start a little earlier than most. Want to make sure we get right into the action. We'll probably have 10 to 12 fights. We're still tweaking and kind of getting that all together. Right now we've got 6 of the fights that are matched up and ready to go that we want to discuss with you tonight, not to go into too much more detail than that. So we're going to kind of jump right into it. I know, David, you've been hard at work, trying to talk to some of these fighters and getting these matchups made. What can you tell us about what's been going on?
We got some old faces and some new faces on the card. Robert Russell, I've known him for a while. He did wrestling, and he's a pretty good striker. He has over 10 fights. He's going to be on this next card. Can't wait to see that. He's going to be going against Robbie Levine. His opponent pulled out last time, I think Zeus or whatever, I forgot his name, but it doesn't matter, he didn't fight, and this guy got left in the dirt waiting for a fight, so he's been training this whole time, and this camp and all this stuff, I've been watching him train, and he's looking pretty fluid and ready to fight, so that's going to be a super good matchup. LJ's coming back, he's always put on a good show, he's had 2 decisions, so I want to see if he can get a finish off, and he's going against Anthony Hernandez. I believe he's from Georgia, Rodriguez MMA. So, should be a good matchup. We also have Lucas Rosa. He's going to be fighting again. We got Al Durgalo, your personal favorite. When are you going to bring on your Al Durgalo shirt? We're looking for it.
Yeah, right. We're going to bring that guy's stuff back.
He's going against Oscar Lacoyo. So relatively same records, and should be really good to see them fight. And it's really excited. It's coming up soon. I think it was 3 weeks away, 2 weeks away, 3 weeks.
I mean, we're right there, about 3 weeks away now, right? 3 weeks from Saturday, I believe it is.
Can't believe it's almost May.
Right there, man.
Yeah. Wow. Flying.
It is really coming quick, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yes, I see that. So I see a lot of these names, as you mentioned. Some of the ones I do recognize. Corey Jacobs actually fought for RIZE way back when. I think it was the rooftop event back last January, if I'm not mistaken. Got a pretty decent win then. I remember talking to him after the fight. He's coming in. He's got his 1-0 kickboxing record. He's going to be taking on Chris Butler, who I believe is making his debut. That may be one of the first opening fights. We're still kind of tweaking the order a little bit. It's one of maybe 2 kickboxing matches that are going to be going on the card itself. So we're looking forward to that, seeing Corey come back again. I remember Corey. I remember he was in law school when he fought last January. So I'm not sure if he graduated, he's moved on, he's an attorney, he's practicing, or maybe still in law school. But
he just stuck to MMA and figured, he's gonna hit it big doing that.
Yeah, but I remember that guy. I remember him pretty well. Yeah. And as you said, I see in the lightweight division, you got LJ, coming back. He's got his 2-0 mark, both those fights here with RIZE. It was exciting to see both those fights. I know you really were a big fan of that first fight he had with Greg's son.
For sure.
That was an amazing fight. It was probably the fight of the night, that card back in, when was that? Was December?
Yep.
And like you said, Anthony Hernandez, a guy that's coming down from Georgia. Looking forward to seeing what that guy can bring. He's got a 1-0 mark as well. Christian Esquilin. Remember, I learned that name last time we went over that 6 or 7 times.
He's actually really good, and he's going against an opponent that has a KO under his belt. So I'm excited to see them perform.
Yeah, I see that. Christian Esquilin against Rene Robert. We'll see what these guys can bring together. I know they both have a lot of skill. Ronnie Levine, as you mentioned, it was unfortunate what happened last time. He was ready to go. His opponent weighed in. Night of the fight, they were both there. We still don't know what happened to his opponent. He kind of disappeared on us.
Kind of like high school me at prom, just sitting around still wondering what happened.
That's it. But like you said, he was just kind of left, kind of standing around. But made sure we put him back on the card. So I'm glad we get the opportunity to finally see him. So hopefully we won't have any craziness going on, and he actually gets that fight this time around.
New location too. That should be pretty exciting.
Yeah, this is going to be different. Definitely, it's no longer an outside venue, but a very, very wide indoor venue. So there's a lot of air, a lot of space around it. We're still going to space everybody out the best that we possibly can in that event. We hope that we have a pretty good turnout. We're going to keep it as safe as possible, naturally.
Wonder if I can get there early and play some video games. See, they got the whole Arsenal arcade and laser tag and stuff.
Have you been there?
I was looking at their Instagram yesterday, so yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Not yet, but it's on my agenda. They have like a 2 for $22. I always love deals, so we'll see.
Yeah, I've been there for a few events. It is a kind of a nice place.
Have you? You've been there already?
Yeah, I've been. I haven't hung out there. I've gone to events there. There have been some combat events out there already.
Can you do both at the same time? Is there enough room for?
Can you fight and play at the same time?
That's what I'm saying. I want to play some laser tag and want some knockouts.
Well, they had indoor go-karts.
Oh yeah.
But since the time I've ever seen it, they didn't have them running. Pretty much because these events have been going on, and now with COVID and everything like that, that just wasn't something they could do. But they've got a little obstacle course you can climb around.
Neat.
And I think it's designed for kids like under 4 feet, but you can try it out.
I'm just there.
You never know, man. You never know. But yeah, I mean, like as far as these fights are concerned, as we said, Ronnie fighting Robert Russell. We'll see what he can bring to the table. And moving on to featherweight, you got Lucas Rosa coming back. He made his debut with us just a couple of months ago, and not even 6 weeks ago, I think was the last event, right?
Right.
And he showed what he can do. We were expecting a lot from him, and we saw exactly what we expected from him. And
is he a featherweight? He's pretty big for a featherweight, that's for sure.
I'm looking at what the card says here.
He might be a lightweight. I don't know. I got to double check on that.
We'll figure that out as we go.
Yeah.
But it does say 145. It says he's fighting at 145. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But I know that you made a comment about the leg strength that he had. The ability he had. We knew he had that wrestling ability coming in, state national champion, so forth, so on. And we were kind of impressed. We wanted to see more, so we'll see. I'm sure he's gonna have a big fan base behind him again.
You look at Lucas as kind of like Usman versus Masvidal this weekend. That just the threat of the takedown with someone having the knowledge to try to be in defense mode, kind of lean forward, you can get cleaned out pretty easy. You think that he's going for shooting, and all of a sudden, dude's sleeping.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a good aspect to have. I think all MMA champions should have a solid basis on wrestling, and this guy's pretty elite. So everything else is just skill practice. You don't have to really practice wrestling once you do it for so many years. So and it looked like his striking was improving with his kicking and everything else. So
he was getting warmed up for sure. I know we were talking to Charles, his brother, shortly after the fight, and Charles, which I think that might have been edited out of the final video that we had, but Charles was going on about the fact that he'd been in the gym, he had been trying to train to strike, but it was some skills they had to work on. Some things that we caught, I know in the commentator booth that I was mentioning, is that he was kind of throwing a hook that just kept missing, and he was kind of turning his punches just a little too much. So they weren't as stiff of a jab as he probably could have had. He needs to work on some things, but it's all about learning. He just made his debut as an amateur. We got to give this guy some time. But it's definitely, like you said, a skill set that he can work on and learn as he goes.
Yeah.
The skills already, the talent that he has is already there.
Right.
And that's something that can't be learned. But those skills can definitely be learned as he goes. So curious to see how his career improves. But not to take anything away from his opponent. So Alex Michalina, he's coming in to fight. He's trying to knock that whole Lucas Rosa off the stoop type of deal. He's like, hey, no, it's not about him. It's about me too.
Right.
So I'm sure we'll get these guys. We may even have them as guests on the show, prior to fight night. And if we can do that, then you'll see just what these guys will say to each other, and let you know about their experience as well. Lightweight, we've got Al Dergalo coming back again. He fought the last couple times with us. Both of his fights have now been with us. The first one we talked about had that raw deal to fight some about 15 pounds heavier. Came right back and showed what he can do the second time around by knocking out his opponent. The other guy came in and just kind of didn't know what to hit him.
Right. Exactly.
Literally.
Yeah.
And as he said, he's fighting Oscar Lacayo, and we'll see what Oscar can bring. He's coming up from Key West. He's making a bit of a trip. And look, it's 6 solid fights already. It look like they will compete pretty well against one another. We've got at least 4 to 6 more fights that aren't listed here. We may talk about next week or in the coming weeks as we start to solidify and tweak the schedule. And we're looking forward to a great night of fighting. I mean, you can't miss. I think everybody's been pretty excited about the last few that we've had. Can't be surprised about seeing something great again.
I can't wait, honestly. I wish it was tomorrow.
Getting there, we're getting there. Calm down. But yeah, it's unfortunate. We wanted to have an April card kind of stuffed in there, but just with everything going on, with the health, with other issues going on, with venues, it just made it difficult, obviously. But here we are coming back in May. It's just a few weeks away, so we'll be there. We'll be good to go.
Yeah, for sure.
So one thing I want to mention is when we are sitting in the commentator booth in a few weeks, we may be joined by a third person. Looks like we've got someone named Olive that may be joining us. Will be giving us different perspective on the fights themselves. So I heard she's got a lot of experience and knowledge as it comes to MMA and UFC in particular.
Right.
So we'll see what she can bring to the table. We'll probably have Olive come on and talk to us even before the night of commentating, so everybody else can get to know who she is before that night. Beyond that, David, man, that's what we want to get out, man. We've been sitting here on our shoulders. We wanted to spit that out. I do want to say that I know that at least one of the fights is going to be free preliminary bout. That's just going to be shown right there, streaming on Facebook and possibly even YouTube. Don't hold me to that just now. And then we're going to move to the RIZE X app, the one we've been talking about for, geez, how long now? So RIZE X officially has opened up, and jump on the website, jump on the app, get on there, RIZE FC, download that. RIZE X is where you'll be able to watch these future fights each and every month throughout the rest of 2021. Don't want to miss them. Those are the fights for now, David.
Yeah.
Tell me what else is going on. You had that big UFC fight. You started talking about that a little bit.
Yeah, I figure we're going to commercials. I want to start. Once I start going, I'm going to go for a while because I'm super. The last weekend was super amazing with fights. So yeah.
All right, so we'll do that first then we'll get you to think about everything that you took in over the weekend. And yeah, we're going to cut for a quick commercial break, and we'll be back here in just about 30 seconds. We'll see you guys soon.
Jason and the audience. Oh! Are excited in advance for the second bout of RIZE.
And we are back. Welcome back, everyone. And just before the break, I was just about to ask David, let's talk about some UFC action over the weekend. Let me know what happened this past Saturday night.
What didn't happen? There's three title fights. All the title fights are amazing. In fact, I think this is one of my favorite UFC cards that ever existed. I think it's UFC 261. Amazing. Rose Namajunas, I believe that's how you say her last name. She's one of my favorite fighters, even though I can't pronounce her last name. Pat Barry is her fiance, and they've been together for a while, and then he's been her training partner, and he's a kickboxing guy that actually was a heavyweight. He was a pretty good contender. I like him because he's only like 5'11", kind of like DC size, killing it at heavyweight. But anyways, she trains with him all the time. She just came out like a stud, honestly. She knocked out Wali, I think that's her name, China's champion, who looks pretty amazing. She beat Joanna. She beat a couple contenders, really good people, and she came in and knocked her out with a solid kick to the head. It was super nice. First round. Also, George Masvidal for Usman. Usman actually knocked out George Masvidal in, I think, the very beginning of the second, like a minute into the second. It was pretty gruesome, and he went to sleep. Usman's a wrestler, so you expect the wrestling to take place. But like I mentioned before with Lucas Rosa, that when you have the takedowns and someone's going to take you down, if you're such a tank, you're going to try to defend the takedowns, and you're going to get caught slipping because you're overthinking. So Masvidal got knocked out pretty solidly and convincingly, and a lot of good fights. Really good for sure.
Well, what happened to Chris Weidman?
Did you see that replay?
Yeah,
oh my God, his leg literally wrapped around Uriah Hall's leg. Yeah. Disgusting. Yeah, it was pretty nasty. Also, about the Bullet of Vashchenko, I believe that's how you pronounce her last name. She beat Andras pretty decisively.
Andrade, right?
Yeah. It was. She took her down, I think, 7 times, elbows on elbows on elbows to call it elbows when you get elbowed a bunch of times.
Right.
You know, it took her. You see her life just dissipate from her body. And those are all the main cards. And also Jimmy Crute, who's one of my up-and-coming favorite fighters, he lost by, I think it was like 1 leg kick or something like that to Anthony Smith, which I was really surprised about. And I would probably won a lot of money if I didn't think that Crute was going to win. But besides that, yeah, great card. And even the prelims. The prelims are explosive. Even like the first fight of the prelims, you can hear all the fans cheering because I believe this is the first actual event with all fans are able to be in the arena for in Jacksonville.
Full capacity.
It was amazing. I super enjoyed it. I like Jake Paul was there at this event, and they were yelling "fuck Jake Paul" the whole time, chanting pretty uniformly, "fuck Jake Paul," and he was there taunting everyone. DC chased him down. Even on DC's show this morning or this afternoon, he's talking about, I'll come back and do an MMA fight just to fight Jake Paul. But it's funny, the week prior he's talking about, aren't you gonna be? I'm gonna be the bigger man, not punch down. But once you see this guy, you want to fight him, And he's like the ultimate troll, which is, it's pretty entertaining for his YouTuber to be so successful with boxing. And I don't think we saw each other the time before when he knocked out Ben Askren, but he's he's looking like at least somewhat of a talent in boxing world as far as people that aren't good at boxing. We'll see if he can fight someone that has a bunch of people under his record, but I support it. It's bringing a lot of fans to the boxing venue that would have never showed up there before.
Right.
I don't know, the Triller promotion is pretty wild, and I don't know if I promote that too much. It's kind of a little crazier than I would go, but to each their own. Also, I saw Bellator. Michael Venom Page is going to be fighting, I think, May 7th. He's one of my favorite Bellator fighters. I'm not sure if you're familiar who he is, but this guy just does all these hilarious things. Like he knocked out, I believe it was Cyborg's husband at the time, and knocked him out and threw like a Pokeball at him and threw like the Pokemon hat on and stuff. And guy's hilarious. So yeah, and also he won another time and put on the Thanos rings, and saying like he's Thanos taking over everything. Super entertaining. So I'm excited for that. I know also Anthony Smith versus, Anthony Rumble Johnson versus Yoel Romero's coming up on Bellator. Really excited for that.
Okay. And
talk about one championship. Demetrius Johnson actually lost. I don't think we've seen each other since then, but Demetrius Johnson is one of the best flyweights of all time. He lost via, I think, knee on the ground, which is not allowed in UFC, but is allowed on one. So it was pretty interesting. He still supports kneeing on the ground, but it's kind of wild when you see someone so dominant actually lose. Yeah. It's been quite some time since I can recall him losing. That wasn't by a decision, actual knockout. Right. Kind of like Masvidal. He's never been knocked out before, so when he gets knocked out standing up, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff going on in the MMA world for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It's been a few weeks, so there's a lot to cover, obviously, and there's a lot more going on soon. And as you said, they had it at full capacity up in Jacksonville. I saw that. I saw a lot of celebrities in attendance. Tom Brady and Tim Tebow was there.
Right,
a bunch of the Bucks were there. A lot of those guys were there. And I saw not a mask among them, by the way, shoulder to shoulder. It was interesting to see that. But as that was going on in Kissimmee, there was also a boxing match on that exact same night, also at full capacity. It was a special event, as they called it. Top Rank somehow was able to make that happen, just the same way that UFC was able to make that happen. There was also a pretty good event on that same night. I know I've told you to flip back and forth. I don't know if you were watching any of the boxing at all, but
I just stuck to MMA. I'm not gonna lie to you. Start stuttering when I'm lying. So no, I just watched MMA. But you want to go and break down some interesting facts?
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, it was a pretty good fight card. No, it was not a Jake Paul fight card. This was actually real boxing.
Jake Paul's not on it. Why are you watching it?
Well, that's exactly why I watch it, because when you tell me somebody like that's on it, I'm not going to watch it. You see, that's kind of how that goes. I did not watch a Jake Paul fight, actually, but I made sure that I did watch
the highlights, though.
I saw one thing, one punch. I don't know if that was the knockout punch or what that was.
There's only one punch, yeah.
Okay, I guess that was it then. I didn't read too much more into it, because to me, until somebody's taking it seriously, I can't take them seriously. So we'll get there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Jake Paul can't do something, but he can't do everything. I can tell you that.
Logan beats Mayweather, and then Jake beats Logan. Then Jake will be the best in the world.
Jake beats Logan. That's great. I think these guys probably fought each other quite a few times over there.
They will fight, I promise you. If he wins, they will fight.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, they're still trying to get that Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather thing going.
June 5th, I think I saw another update.
They said June 5th, then I heard the next thing was June 6th, which is a Sunday, which is weird because they said there's a lot of pay-per-view events on June 5th they don't want to go up against. But it seems like they've always just been pushing off the date because they're trying to make sure they have fans in attendance.
Right.
Now that you've seen a couple of venues in Jacksonville and Kissimmee where they've been able to be at max capacity, they're actually kind of talking about, I think, and this is what I've heard from resources, that they're talking about doing it at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami.
Nice.
So if it does happen, it may happen there. And why is because they have enough seats there that they can still space them out, yet still sell tens of thousands of seats. It was a pretty successful event when Canelo fought there recently. So I think they're sort of following in suit and trying to see if they can just pick up the amount of people there just a little bit more. And it may happen. It may happen there. It's definitely one of the venues that's there on the circle on the map. Besides Vegas is a possibility and other locations.
I was reading things that saying that because of the draw that Jake Paul got at the last pay-per-view versus what the Tyson...
And Logan?
Huh? No.
Oh, the draw. Okay.
The draw, yeah.
Draw. Okay,
how many pay-per-view buys there were versus what there was with Tyson fighting. It might have been Jake Paul that stole the show over Mike Tyson.
Yeah, well.
So then you think about then Logan Paul, how many views will he get versus...
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
I was watching something, it was a little clip on YouTube about all these Disney theme songs. It was coming up and it showed all these little beginnings of shows. And I go, oh, there he is. Bizarrevark was the name of the show. Jake Paul acted on Bizarrevark. See, now I know. All I knew was he was a YouTube guy, something about Disney. I'd never seen him or heard about him before, but apparently this guy was actually on TV. A show called Bizarrevark.
I actually YouTubed it one time to verify too. I was after my time.
Yeah, okay. So, a little different style, I think, when he was on the show than what he is now, though. Trying to be
kind of similar, though. I don't know. He's still kind of quirky and weird, So,
I never saw the show. I just saw the clip.
Yeah.
But anyway, going back to the Kissimmee event, yes. So it was a pretty good fight event that night. Emmanuel Navarrete, who's my number 2 pound for pound in the world, he took on a real tough opponent in Chris Diaz. I call him Pitufo, which means Smurf in Spanish, by the way. Why you call yourself Smurf, I don't know. That's the nickname he chose. So Pitufo, the Smurf, decided to come in there, and he came in strong. He was outclassed as far as, style-wise, boxing-wise, but he was a tough guy who can brawl. And he showed what he can do, and he was able to kind of catch Navarrete on his angles and throw these overhand rights that were landing. He looked good for a little while in the fight, but it was inevitable at some point Navarrete was going to do exactly what Navarrete does, and sure enough, he showed why he's the champ. And he actually knocked him out with 15 seconds left in the 12th round.
Wow.
The 12th and final round, 15 seconds left, they stopped that. Because there was just too much abuse at that point. They had to stop it. So Navarrete continues to move on. He's a champion in 2 weight classes now. He's defended his belt now as a WBO featherweight. He's going to move on to bigger and better things. That guy can still continue to fill out. He can be one of those guys that 3, 4, 5 weight division champion. So following behind the footsteps of Manny Pacquiao. We'll see. I really like this guy. He's probably my favorite active fighter today. I would honestly say that. So if you guys have not seen Navarrete fight, you need to watch him. And go back, watch YouTube, watch that fight. That was worth watching.
How do you say the name?
Navarrete. Emmanuel Navarrete. Yeah. From Mexico.
Nice.
So on that same card, though, a couple of guys that we also know, Xander Zayas from right here in our neck of the woods, 18-year-old kid who signed with Top Rank when he was 16. Mm-hmm. He got his knockout, knocked the kid out less than 59 seconds, so less than a minute into that first round. Just like that. Made it a real easy day at the office. I think he's 7-0 now, if I'm not mistaken. At 18 years old and just continues to make his way up. We're going to start putting, some harder opponents in front of him to see what he can do. But not far-fetched to see this guy may be a champion by 20, 21 years old.
Wow.
And then you got Edgar Berlanga. So Edgar Berlanga has been the talk of the town as far as the boxing community is concerned because the man started his career at 16-0, all 16 wins by knockout, every one of them in the first round. It's not easy to do. So his average fight time was about 1 minute 30 seconds. He never really fought much more than that, right? Beyond that, he did have a tougher opponent in front of him who had not been stopped before, and he did not stop him. He went to a decision. So amazingly, the crowd just continued to boo him because he didn't get the first round knockout, if you can even freaking believe that.
Crazy.
It was ridiculous. He didn't get the knockout. He definitely tried for it, but he was also trying to protect himself, get his rounds in. He did what he was supposed to do, fought a pretty good fight, got his win, Kid's 17-0, people are booing him. I just think it's kind of stupid. But Berlanga will continue to be, a strong middleweight contender as he moves up in the rankings. Curious to see what he can do next time out as well. So that was that fight card.
Nice. Well, I know the NFL draft's at the end of this month too, so hopefully the Dolphins come through with some picks. I know G's over here hoping for the Bills to do some magic, but we're not going to focus on him.
That's right. I actually got an email. I should have told G this. I got an email from a guy who was inviting me out to the draft party for the Dolphins.
No way.
Which I guess is right there at Hard Rock Stadium. And I'm like, okay, I have no interest in going there where there's like freaking 1,000 people on top of each other. So I didn't want to go. So I actually never responded to him. But he said, you got to respond to me fast because it's limited seating, so forth, so on. So I don't know. We'll talk about it after the show. I know G's shaking his head. He's like, what, are you kidding me? We'll see. Maybe I'll go with you, G, and I'll bring 16 masks on my face or something like that. Maybe I'll make it happen, But I'll let you know about that if it hasn't already been too late. Spacesuit. That's right. Exactly. Beyond that, man, yeah. So, here's something else to talk about in boxing real quick because this is historic. Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. You know those two guys, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're trying to unify the heavyweight championship completely. Right. That hasn't happened since Lennox Lewis had it like 20-something years ago, right? $150 million site fee. Okay, the record has been $60 million, which is when Anthony Joshua fought Andy Ruiz, the little chubby Mexican guy that had the belts for a minute.
He's looking actually in shape. I saw him training.
Yeah, he's fighting on May 1st as well. That's coming up. But when Andy Ruiz fought Anthony Joshua, that rematch, so Joshua can get his belts back, it was a $60 million site fee, which allowed each fighter to get paid $30 million guaranteed, plus whatever they had in the contract. $150 million site fee contract that was arranged by Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing CEO, which means each of these fighters are going to get $75 million before they ever throw a punch. In addition to that, they're going to get they're going to get, the draw, some money from the draw, money from the pay-per-view buys, this, that, blah, 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 is a lot. So this fight definitely is worth quite a bit of money and may turn out to be, the highest paying heavyweight championship fight in history.
Yeah, I'll fight Tyson Fury for $75 million.
Exactly, right? But these two guys are fighting, and it's interesting because a lot of people don't think these are the two best heavyweights out there, but yet they're getting paid the best money right now, So it's curious to see what they're going to do because they talked about signing a contract to fight twice this year, not just once. So we'll see what happens the first time around if they pick up the pace and do it again the second time before the end of the year.
Yeah, I saw Tyson Fury was talking about fighting Francis Ngannou, which would be awesome, the heavyweight champion of UFC.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
he's looking to cross over and do some things too. I know he's been hanging out in WWF and doing some things over there too. So he's just trying to take advantage of all the fame that he has.
For sure.
He was talking about calling it quits like really, really early. He doesn't want to continue on too much longer. And he kind of had second thoughts about it. So we don't really know what's going on through his mind right now. Does he want to just end it, retire from boxing within a year? Does he want to stick around 5-6 years if he thinks he can go through everybody and get paid $75-80 million to fight? Why not, right? We'll see. But that's it is historic. It is interesting to see that kind of money coming out for a heavyweight championship fight. I really hope they can get some fans in attendance and hope the whole world can watch it because that should be a pretty decent fight.
Yeah.
I won't say it's the best fight, but it'll be a pretty decent fight.
Yeah.
That's the world of boxing. We talked NFL, we talked boxing, we talked UFC, we talked our fight card.
Yep.
What else we got?
We also hit on Bellator and won championships.
We did.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned something about a Little League championship game that was going on today.
All over the place.
Before camera. But yeah, so going back to our fight card here, obviously, once again, May 15th at Extreme Action Park in Fort Lauderdale, right on Powerline Road. Guys, don't miss this. It's pretty centrally located. Like if you're coming up from Miami, it's not too much of a puddle jump to try to get you to come up to Fort Lauderdale. And for everybody coming down from Palm Beach or even beyond up to St. Lucie County, it's not that far either. We're just off 95 here at Extreme Action Park. So look forward to seeing you guys in attendance there that night. If you cannot make it, again, download the app, RIZE FC. You'll be able to watch it through the app on RIZE X. It's at the bottom of the screen, guys. All the information about the fights will be right there, spread out all over that app. But RIZE X is your access to get into that fight. You'll see the first prelim fight at least for free. And then you can switch over to the RIZE X app. Boom, you can watch the entire thing. And G's going to be taking care of all the camera work and videography that night, so it's going to be stellar. It's going to sound good and look good. Look, 10 to 12 fights, looking at probably 6:30 for the first fight, first bell. We'll let you know as time continues on. We'll bring some of these fighters and other fighters that we have on the card onto the show as guests, so you can get to know them a little bit or get to remember them a little bit in the case of like Corey Jacobs. And we're going to have a great night ahead of us on May 15th.
I'm looking forward to it.
So that's it for us, guys, for tonight. We appreciate you tuning in. Thanks again, for being so loyal and coming back and seeing us once again after so long gone. Again, we hope to come back again next week. Hopefully nothing sidesteps that. But we look forward to coming back around the same time, possibly next week. And until then, guys, on behalf of the whole RIZE crew and my partner David Shore, I'm Mike Feinberg. Stay safe. Have a great night.